VoxFX.
Hello there, this is Shao, and welcome to the third episode of my 17-part series on getting a great vocal sound. For those who are just joining us, this series is a crash course on best practices you need to know to get good results in a home recording environment, from performance to recording to mixing. In my last tutorial, I discussed ways to prepare for a performance. If you haven't already seen that video, please go do so. Today, I'll be explaining the basics of traditional singing technique to help maximize your vocal efficiency and keep you safe and healthy. So let's get started.
Technique.
When singing, you want to be standing up if possible. Stand up straight and maintain good posture, like this guy. This maximizes the amount of space that your lungs have to expand by giving your gut somewhere to go. To help get in this posture, I'll use a metaphor that my former voice instructor showed me. Imagine that you're a puppet with a string coming out of the top of your head. Imagine yourself hanging from that string. Let your arms fall to your sides, keep your feet shoulder width apart, and bend your knees slightly. The knee bending will help keep you from passing out after a lot of standing. That's important, because no one likes a concussion. Quick note, standing is less important for voice acting than it is for singing. When voice acting, you'll likely be doing a lot of it in one go, so it'll be tiring to always do it standing. But for singing, you almost always want to be on your feet if you can. Next, there's a particular way to breathe while singing. You want to breathe in through the nose and, obviously, out through the mouth, but more importantly, you want to breathe with your belly, not with your shoulders. When you inhale, do your best not to raise and tense up your shoulders. Instead, let your stomach puff out. It's a little weird, but it'll give your lungs and diaphragm room to move and expand. Related to this is something called breath support. What this means is putting just the right amount of tension on your gut muscles so that you can precisely control how much breath you release while singing. A general rule of thumb is to tighten your gut and make it feel like firm upholstery. Bear in mind that you only really need to do this while actively singing. It's not necessary to maintain this tension the whole time, and it can be tiring to do so. The next part of singing technique is what you do with your mouth. Let's start from the back and work forward. First, raise your soft palate while singing. The soft palate is the part of the roof of your mouth that's, well, soft. There's your hard palate, which is above where your tongue is, and your soft palate behind that, going into your throat. You want to lift that part up. To do so,
try to imitate speaking like this. This is what I sound like with my soft palate raised. Try to make your mouth as big as possible on the inside without opening your jaw.
This maximizes the amount of space in your mouth, giving your voice room to reverberate, and actually makes your voice louder. Moving forward in the mouth, you want to let your jaw hang open loosely, like this. You don't want to stretch your mouth open like this, but you also don't want your jaw to be clenched like this. This is not good for singing. Just let it hang open loosely like this. And yeah, it sounds a little weird, but it's important for singing. So to put that all together,
raise your soft palate, let your jaw hang open, and
Next, how you shape your lips plays a big role in the tonal quality of your singing voice. For instance, singing with a tall voice
means singing more like this with a rounder mouth shape. Ah, eh, e, o, oo.
You want your lips to be more O-like for that, with your cheeks brought in. This sounds very different from singing with a bright voice, which means singing like this with a wider mouth shape. Ah, eh, e, o, oo. You almost want to sing with a smile to achieve this tone. As you heard, lip positioning drastically changes the character of the voice. However, how you shape your lips at any given time depends on your singing range, which vowels you're trying to sing, which end of your vocal range you're at, and the style of music you're performing. I can't give you a complete guide of what lip shape to use when, because that would take hours. Just be aware of how much control you have over this part of your vocal sound and how much of a difference it makes. Now, as you probably already know, people have different vocal ranges. Each voice typically falls into one of 4 main vocal classifications. These types are going from lowest to highest, basses, like me, tenors, altos, and sopranos. It is very important that you focus mainly on singing material that is geared towards your vocal class. Like I said in the last video, don't try to push the limits of your vocal range too hard because you'll hurt yourself, and it probably won't sound very good either. So, how do you know which vocal type you are? That's beyond the scope of this video, but it's largely based on how low and high you can sing, as well as which part of your vocal range is most comfortable for you. I've put a link in the description to singwise.com, where they cover this topic in detail. Go check it out. Finally, you may have heard the pitch of my voice moving up and down as I sang. That's something known as vibrato, and it is very important to good singing, at least in the traditional sense. I've noticed that when singing with vibrato, I can actually get my voice louder than if I sang with a straight tone. Plus, vibrato kind of happens naturally, especially if you sing at higher volumes. It's also important, ironically, for helping maintain pitch. It is extremely difficult to maintain one pitch while singing, and the longer you hold a note, the more likely the pitch is to drift. And you might not even notice it because it happens so gradually, but it does happen. To deal with that, you use vibrato to vary the pitch around the note you want to sing, which your brain perceives as being on that note. Your pitch is less likely to drift because you are deliberately and repeatedly changing it, albeit slightly.
So this is singing with a straight tone, and this is singing with vibrato.
Now, some singers produce more or less vibrato than others. This is normal. However, whatever you do not excessively force your voice to sing without vibrato. It can actually damage your vocal cords because you're putting too much pressure on your throat. I could actually feel my throat straining to sing straight tone because my singing voice naturally has a fair bit of vibrato. So, rather than fighting it, embrace the vibrato in your voice and make it a part of your style. It adds a nice expressive character to your voice, and it's probably one of the most audible signs of good singing technique. Anyway, that wraps up this primer on traditional singing technique. If you liked what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want more information or have any questions about what I've covered here, comment below. I'm always open for questions. And if you'd like to request a VoxFX tutorial, please send me a message. Remember, if it's talky, I can talk about it. In the next tutorial, I'll be talking about some other important things to know about vocal performance. Until then, have fun and keep making sound.
VoxFX.